We are now just 335 days away from the midterms, but this evening, all eyes are on Tennessee's 7th district, which is holding a special election to fill its House seat. This is a district that Donald Trump won by 22 points just 1 year ago. But this evening, it was a much, much closer race. The NBC News decision desk can project that the Republican, Matt Van Epps, has defeated the Democrat, Afton Bain. But right now, the margin is only about 9 points. So while the Democrats did not gain a seat, they did come a whole lot closer to Republicans in a ruby red district ahead of next year's midterms. So let's get smarter with the help of our leadoff panel and dig into this. Daniela Diaz is here, congressional reporter for Notice. Larry Sabato, director at the Center for Politics at University of Virginia, professor and presidential historian. And Mark McKinnon joins us, former advisor to both George W. Bush and John McCain. Larry, just a few minutes ago, we heard from the Democrat, Afton Bain, and I want to share a little bit of it.
And we may not have won tonight, but we changed the story of what's possible here. And we're not done. Not by a long shot. So tomorrow, we keep fighting. Tomorrow, we keep building. Tomorrow, we keep organizing.
Larry, what are your reactions?
Well, my reaction is that it's always better to win than to lose, but this particular victory for the Republicans is unimpressive. It's flat. It shows a shift of 12 or 13 points in the Democratic direction compared to Trump's win in 2024. And if this kind of shift is maintained, the magnitude of it to next year's midterm elections, Democrats would certainly take over the House of Representatives. I wouldn't want to wager a guess on the Senate, but I bet the Senate would get a lot closer, too.
Mark, what do you think?
Well, I think a couple of things. One is that it is obviously a very red district that was gerrymandered to protect Republicans. And so it should have been a very safe win. And the candidate Republicans had, from what I've heard, was a pretty good candidate. I mean, he's sort of central casting, military background, et cetera. And the Democratic candidate, while she ran a very good campaign, had some very difficult things in her background, like on a podcast saying that she hated Nashville and hated country music in a district that represented Nashville. That's a tough thing to overcome. And yet she still improved the margin by 10 or more points. So but when you net it out, what this really means for Republican members of Congress, unless you won your seat by a lot more than 12 points, you're looking around and saying, gee, this means that if I only won my race by 12 points, that it's a dead even race come the midterms. And that's assuming that things don't get worse, which they're likely to.
That's sort of my question here, Daniela. We saw Republicans really go all out here to try to support this race. And they were on the defense, right? Mike Johnson traveled to Tennessee. The president himself called in multiple times. Don Jr. was going after this. Tonight, are they just breathing a sigh of relief, or are they not panicked, but really refocusing what they need to do between now and the midterms?
Stephanie, this was a major wake-up call for Republicans. I mean, the fact that they even had Speaker Mike Johnson in this district on Monday night having to campaign for Congressman-elect Van Epps, he won the race, is a huge sign that they were incredibly concerned about what this race could mean going into next year when they're going to have a really big fight to keep their majority. I mean, the fact that President Donald Trump had a teletown hall, that really shows you the concern and the warning signs that they felt going into this. And of course, they're breathing a sigh of relief. This is a race that they were able to win, but it is not the race that they were hoping to win, considering it was only right now, as we know, by 9 points, when this is a district that Donald Trump won by 22 points last year. So this is a major sign of what's to come in the midterms. They're aware of that. I mean, this is just what's come after Virginia and New Jersey and what we saw in those elections just a couple of weeks ago too, Stephanie.
Larry, then do you think this election was about this particular race between these two candidates, or was it a referendum on the direction of the country under Trump?
Well, it's always a mixture, and I think special elections are special in that people have a chance to vote with a large perspective on the big issues, whether it's affordability or what Trump is doing in a whole wide range of areas. You have to mix the two together, but it's a partial term, so people don't necessarily take it as seriously as they would a full term. And they also recognize that the eyes of the nation are upon them, so they're more inclined to look from a broader national perspective. So I would put more emphasis on that side. And in that sense, while the Republican won, Trump has had a lot of controversies recently, and I think it dampened the Republican margin.
Mark, then what are the lessons tonight?
Well, first of all, I disagree with Larry just a little bit, which I very rarely do. I believe that a lot has changed since Tip O'Neill said that all politics are local. I think increasingly in any federal elections, almost all politics are national now. They're all being driven by Trump. Democrats have done a very good job on driving an affordability message, which the Democratic nominee did here, and I think that's a big part of it. So I think that the Democrats realize that they've got some wind at their back. I think they've gotten very focused. The Democrats have discovered water in the desert, and that water is the message of affordability. So I think that the Republicans are going to try and turn them around, but that's going to be very difficult because they face the health care extensions, which they're not going to vote to do. So that's going to be a double whammy for voters who have a very difficult time in this current economy, and then they face their doubling, tripling, or more of their health care subsidies. It's going to be very difficult. So I think the lesson here is that the Democrats, are getting focused, and Republicans have got some real challenges ahead.
Daniela, behind the scenes, what are Republicans telling you? Not just about tonight's election, because hopefully you're not talking to too many this late at night, but what we're about to face with health care, what we're headed for, a very expensive holiday season.
It's concerning for Republicans heading into, not only do they have a huge problem with affordability, something Democrats have, we talked about this, Stephanie, done really well on the messaging in the past couple of weeks. But right now there's a major debate happening in Congress. I mean, I was just there a few hours ago on Capitol Hill talking to Republicans about what they're going to do about these expiring Affordable Care Act tax credits that they know that a lot of battleground district Republicans need to be able to win their races next year. They still don't have a plan. This is something that's going to raise prices, continue to raise prices for Americans. And this is in the background of what we're talking about with this special election, what we saw a couple weeks ago in New Jersey and Virginia, as they're trying to figure out how to keep prices lower for Americans so they can get reelected. And look, right now I can say, Stephanie, it's a mess on Capitol Hill when it comes to this issue. There is no plan. They have not figured this out yet.
All right, Larry, then with 11 months to go from the midterms, what are the trends that you're tracking?
Well, obviously, we're tracking the margins in these special elections, including state legislative elections. You can actually tell a lot from them. It's not just the occasional House of Representatives special. And so far, Democrats have done remarkably well in places that are normally hostile to them. I don't think they're going to convert a lot of Republicans. I don't think they're going to win a lot of Republican seats. Today, I think you could look forward to a Democratic majority in the mid 220s, maybe if they were very lucky, 230, low 230s perhaps. And in this era, that's a substantial majority. We're not going to see those 250-seat majorities on either side anymore. So it's good for Democrats, but they have to keep the pressure up, and they have to depend on something they can't fully control, but I think can still count on. And that's Donald Trump being constantly controversial and offending lots of people.
Then, Mark, given all of the above, do you see more Republicans going the way of Marjorie Taylor Greene or doubling down and heading to Mar-a-Lago for the holiday season?
I was just going to go there, Stephanie. So if you're a Republican member of Congress and you're looking at the midterms, first of all, historically, the party in power usually loses seats. So you look at that, you add on the fact that it's a terrible economy, and you look at what's happening with retirements, and there's a huge number. I mean, the Republican retirements versus Democratic retirements are double. I think it's 30 plus already. So again, if you're a Republican looking at tonight's results and you think, God, I'm probably not going to be in the majority. I've got a really tough race unless I won my race by big double digits. And it's just not much of a fun place anymore, even if I was in the majority, and I'm probably not going to be. So I think we're going to see a lot more retirements. And also, by the way, the whole scheme to redistrict these districts, not in a 10-year cycle, I think is blowing up on the Republicans because, first of all, the Democrats have done a very good job, like in California, sort of going tit for tat. But also, the Republican court turned down the Republican measure. So that whole thing may actually end up favoring Democrats.
I don't know. It's a fun place if you're one of those members of Congress who uses the information that you have because you're a sitting member of Congress to buy and sell stocks all day. They seem to be having fun. Danielle, let's stay on Mark's point about Republicans retiring. Regardless of this election, we are seeing a lot of Republicans leave Congress early. How concerned is Mike Johnson about potentially losing his majority even before the midterms hit?
Incredibly concerned, Stephanie. I mean, this is a digit majority, and it's really down to just now a handful of members to be able to keep this majority. And if more retire, it's unprecedented. It's unclear what that would look like if there's more Democrats than Republicans in office, even if Republicans have the majority. I mean, this has been an issue that, of course, then Speaker Kevin McCarthy faced. I covered that when that was happening. And he also was facing unprecedented amounts of Republican retirements. Now it's Speaker Mike Johnson. But the reality here is the mood on Capitol Hill, being a politician right now, has never felt worse. And Republicans are feeling very not motivated by the fact that they're in office, and they're not eager to face these tough re-elections that they're going to have in a midterm election with a Republican president, statistically, that tends to go for the opposite party if you look back at what has happened in past elections. So when you go to Capitol Hill, as I do every day, it's clear that no one's excited, no one's happy. Especially after unprecedented historical shutdown where not really anything was solved.